There is a difference on your screen, 400 lines, written in 90 seconds, by something that will never have to live with it. You will. Somewhere between the difference and the merge button sits the whole discipline this episode is about, and almost nobody was ever taught it. Last episode, I closed the intent strand. 3 techniques, 1 page, a spec under 5 headings, example tables that pin the load-bearing adjectives, probe loops that surface the requirements you could not have imagined. That page says precisely what should exist. But a spec is a promise about the world, and a promise is only worth what checking it costs. Today the second strand opens, verification, 5 episodes, the richest strand in the series, because it is where the price of this era actually gets paid. And it starts with the humblest looking skill of the 5, the one this episode should convince you is neither humble nor optional, reading. Here is the number that frames the strand. In 2024, Google published a first-party snapshot of its own engineering. AI completions were writing 50% of the code characters across the company. In the same post, the share of code review comments addressed with AI assistants about 8% half the writing, less than a tenth of the reviewing. Generation is half automated and review is barely dented, which means the queue in your team has quietly moved. The scarce activity is no longer producing code, it is reading it, and reading is the skill nobody trained us for. We picked it up by accident, by writing a lot of code and nodding along at everyone else's. And you cannot navigate this by feel, because the feel has been measured, and it lies. In 2025, METR ran the cleanest experiment yet, 16 experienced open-source maintainers, working real issues in mature repositories they had maintained for years. With AI, they were 19% slower. They had forecast 24% faster. And the finding that matters for this episode, afterwards, having lived the slowdown, they still believed the AI had made them 20% faster. The invisible time went where it always goes, into reviewing, correcting, and integrating the reading side of the ledger. Stack Overflow survey of tens of thousands of developers agrees from the other direction, 45% say debugging AI code is more time-consuming than debugging their own. Generation feels fast, the checking is where the day actually went, and feelings do not verify. Why the checking is hard deserves precise naming, and Simon Willison has named it best. The famous failure, the hallucinated method that does not exist, is secretly the safe one, because it fails loudly the first time anyone runs it. The dangerous output is plausible and wrong, code that reads beautifully, runs cleanly, and does the wrong thing. And plausible is no accident, plausible is the one property these models are directly optimized to produce. Which convicts the way most of us actually review. We skim the difference for style, naming, and shape, the way we would proofread prose, and that reading checks exactly one thing, whether the code resembles correct code. Resemblance is the property the machine has fully mastered. Style reading inspects the costume. So, the technique claims first reading, 3 moves, and the first happens before you open the difference. Move 1, write down, in plain sentences, the claims that must be true if this change is correct. Not what the code does, what the world requires of it, 3 to 5 claims, and your spec's non-goals and edge cases are exactly where they come from. Move 2, read to falsify. Your job is not to understand the difference, your job is to attack each claim in turn and try to make it fall, in order of blast radius, the claim that costs money or trust first, the invariant before the style, the formatting last or never. Move 3, fresh context. The reader must not be the one who prompted, because the prompter knows what the code is meant to say, and will read the intention instead of the text. On a team, that is a person who saw none of the generation. Solo, it is a split, review in a different session, at a different hour, never in the chat that wrote the code. None of this is new, by the way. Michael Fagan proved at IBM in 1976 that structured reading catches what testing does not, and the industry kept the finding and dropped the ceremony. The ceremony stays dropped, and the function just became the job again. Now the suggester, because its first pull request has arrived, the redaction module, which strips card numbers and personal details from a ticket before the model is allowed to see it. The difference is immaculate, typed, documented, tested, with a careful little pattern-matching engine at its heart. The claims, written before opening it, 1. It never sends anything. 2. Every draft cites the knowledge base. And 3. From the spec the agents gave us in episode 3, no personal data ever leaves the boundary unredacted. A style read of this difference passes it with compliments. Attack claim 3 instead, and do not read the redaction function at all, trace the ticket. Follow the text from arrival to the model call and list every doorway where it leaves the process. There it is, in the plumbing nobody would ever admire, a logging call 1 line above the redaction call. Log first, redact second. Every card number a stressed customer pastes into a ticket lands in the logs in plain text and ships to a third-party dashboard, forever. The redaction engine below it is flawless, which is exactly why style reading walks past the bug, it spends its attention on the clever part. The claim never asked how clever the function was. The claim asked where the data went. The self-check turns reading from a vibe into a measured skill. The seeded defect drill, take code you know works, tell a model to plant 3 bugs that preserve the style and break the behavior, and read for them cold, claims first. Your catch rate is a number, and the first week it will be a humbling one, which is precisely why you measure it, because it moves with practice, and watching it move is watching a skill grow. The exercise, on the next generated change that matters, write your claims before you open the difference, then read to falsify, in blast radius order, with fresh eyes. The artifact is the reading protocol, 1 page, linked below with this episode's receipts, the claims list, the falsification order, the fresh context rule. And you will know it worked the first time you catch a bug the style read would have merged. One thing should be nagging you, claims first reading needs claims, and today's came from a spec 3 episodes in the making. What if nobody wrote one, and what does correct even look like when it lives in somebody's head, or in the laws of arithmetic, or in a policy nobody has read aloud? That question has an old and beautiful name, and it is the strand's real subject. Next episode, the oracle, knowing what correct looks like, independently of the thing you are checking.